Hello, welcome to Business 9 Editorial. This is August 16. Please listen to this article at 2x speed. Um, the first article is a bit political in nature, and this pertains to the power of two, that is, the Prime Minister, Leader of Parliament alone should select the election commissioner. So I'll make a summary of this, and you can read through this entire article if you're interested. So in March, the Supreme Court ruled that appointments to the Election Commission should involve a committee of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and the Chief Justice of India. The government, however, has now proposed that the Chief Justice's replacement with a cabinet minister nominated by the Prime Minister. Now, this reduction from three to two institutions making a choice can be interpreted as either the judiciary's expansion uh, of influence or the government's concession to the opposition. Now, regardless of the decision-making body, the ultimate outcome depends on the eligible candidates and their commitment. The new bill suggests a search committee headed by the cabinet secretary to prepare a shortlist, which is an improvement on the current practice. Political parties bear responsibilities as their behavior has prompted the judiciary's involvement. Simplifying the process by having only the prime minister and the leader of opposition select commissioners might lead to better consensus compared to involving a third party. Research into committee voting with more than two members yield mixed results. That's the first article. The next article is fight against inflation is not over. So there's price worries, and though things look rosy on growth front, the RBI cannot take its eye off inflation scenarios. And it's also given the GDP growth and the latest inflation policy rates. So USA has almost 2 to 2.35. India has around negative 0.9, whereas Brazil has 9.25. I'll try to make a summary. If you interested, can read through this one. So inflation control is a primary objective which of every central bank, especially in inflation targeting countries such as India. And after a period of high inflation post-COVID, many central banks, including India's, have had to raise policy rates to manage the situation. However, the growth inflation trade-off poses a challenge. The US economy seems likely to experience a soft landing, while the UK and EU faces alarming growth slowdowns amidst elevated inflation. India's growth has shown resilience despite global challenges. The RBI's focus on managing excess liquidity and sustaining its monetary policy stance is supported by projections of a comfortable GDP growth rate. While India's growth scenario is optimistic, inflation remains a concern, with July's CPI inflation breaching the RBI's tolerance limit. The real policy rate has turned negative, requiring policy intervention to bring down inflation and enhance transmission of rate hikes to the economy. Commercial banks are flush with funds due to factors like transfer of RBI profits to the government and withdrawal of high denomination note. The RBI's approach includes imposing incremental cash reserve ratio to manage liquidity and control GSEC yields. Additional action like forex sales might be necessary to counter rupee depreciation and enhance liquidity withdrawal. Overall, managing inflation and liquidity is crucial for maintaining economic stability. So the IMF India growth projection at 6.1% will assure the RBI to remain focused on excess liquidity withdrawal and sustain the monetary policy stance. Next is India ready to receive the 970 aircraft? Now, the new aircraft orders from Indigo and Air India will severely test the airport infrastructure of the country. Interesting read. So the recent aircraft order placed by Indigo and Air India, which was around 970 aircraft, 470 from Air India and 500 from Indigo, are raising concerns about overcrowding within India's civil aviation infrastructure. The existing airline fleet in India is around 700, with only a small number of wide-body aircrafts among them. Indigo's order for 500 narrow-body Airbuses, A320 aircraft, and Air India's order for 70 wide-body aircraft, including A350 and Boeing 787s, will lead to challenges in terms of parking, taxing, terminal facility, passenger processing, and boarding times. The current air traffic scenario in India is already tight, with issues like red-eye flights highlighting the scarcity of preferred slots of passengers during normal hours. Some major airports like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore are already operating at maximum capacity, and the new airports like Jewar and Navi Mumbai may provide some relief but won't be sufficient to accommodate the influx of new aircrafts. To address this, some of the new aircrafts might have to be allocated parking slots at non-metro airport, which could impact airlines aiming to operate primarily for major airports. This could lead to more concentrated market dominated by larger airlines like Indigo and Air India. While promoting regional air connectivity is a laudable goal, this might not be economically feasible for smaller airlines, potentially leading to a duopoly scenario. The challenge lies in whether India's airport, which plans for additional airports, can effectively accommodate the influx of 970 aircraft without straining infrastructure or limiting the growth of smaller airlines. Interesting article. Anybody who's into aircraft infrastructure, maybe GMR, Air, you know, airport, those would be benefited because most likely the rents would go up. Next article is EV hit a policy bump. So capping of subsidy has slowed the sales of two-wheeler, and it talks about the policy shift. It talks about the charging infrastructure, and this is a good read also. So the electric vehicle sector in India has seen significant growth over the ability with over 1 million EV sales in FY23, despite the traditional auto industry having around 20 million annual sales. Now, two-wheelers and battery-powered rickshaws constitute the majority of EV sales at 62 and 32% respectively during the period. These EVs are favored for their lower cost operating cost and appeal to cost-conscious Indian consumers. The transition to EVs is supported by a three-tier subsidy system involving the central government's FAME 2 subsidy, reduced taxes, and state-level incentives. However, policy changes in June 23 have impacted the EV market, especially two-wheelers. The FAME 2 subsidy for two-wheelers have been reduced from 40% to 15% of ex-factory price, resulting in decreased sales. Despite this, cumulative monthly EV sales for July 23 have recovered to 80,000 primarily due to battery rickshaw sales. The policy shift will likely lead to effects such as cautious industry behavior, potential consolidation of two-wheeler players, and potential shutdown of some EV manufacturers. Policymakers can support the industry by setting clear targets for different vehicle categories and adopting a long-term view of subsidies based on usage and category. Developing charging infrastructure beyond cities, offering financial supports, and combining subsidies to create local demand can aid the success of government initiatives. India could also become a global hub for electric two-wheelers, catering to markets like Africa, which rely completely on imports. Then the next article, it's on driverless systems, driverless vehicles on our road, and AI will not just replace jobs on a massive scale. Machines will shut down machines if things go awry. So, yeah, a bit pessimistic, but let's see. And it also shows the picture of a Ren, which is a cruise autonomous taxi in San Francisco. And India has, via policy, said no to driverless cars, but there's more challenges technologically to driverless cars. So California regulators have approved driverless taxis to operate in San Francisco, which has a heavy traffic. While it's difficult to imagine driverless cars in navigating India's chaotic roads, the technology is expected to arrive sooner than later, adapting to challenges like cows, stray dogs, and bullock carts. India has been cautious about driverless car technology to protect jobs, but this stance might change in the future. AI can transform the world by creating opportunities and potentially making many jobs obsolete. Robots are already being employed in roles like floor cleaning and fast food preparation. Goldman Sachs predicts the disappearance of 3,300 million jobs in the coming year, impacting a quarter of jobs in Europe and America. Tech leaders have differing views on AI's impact on jobs. Amazon's Jeff Bezos is optimistic, stating that AI will empower various sectors. In contrast, Elon Musk and others foresee mass unemployment due to AI's capability. Uh, Automation is reaching a new scale where machines make crucial decisions, potentially sidelining human intervention. Yeah, maybe. Job casualties are evident in various sectors. Truck drivers could be replaced by driverless vehicles, manufacturing workers by robots, and even agricultural workers by AI-equipped machines. Professionals like doctors, lawyers, academics, journalists can also see significant changes. AI can expedite tasks such as legal search and medical diagnostics. India's software service industry might face automation pressure, but industry leaders are confident they can adapt. MIT's Sloan Paul's McDowell Smith suggests that humans will essentially, for cross disciplinary insight, make connections between domain. The readiness of driverless vehicle to navigate challenging Indian roads will be a significant test, and when this happens, the AI-driven future will be truly upon us. So, yeah, let's see. Next, one article and then an infographic. So China grabs Germany's EU market share, apparently. The Chinese manufacturers are posing a growing challenge to German manufacturers in European Union market, particularly in advanced industrial goods, where Germany traditionally holds a strong position. A study by IW, economic think tank, indicates that China's share of EU imports has rapidly increased, potentially impacting Germany's economy. Now, this trend has raised concern about Germany's economic performance, especially in light of its recent entry into recession due to supply chain disruption, inflation, and energy cost following Russia's action in Ukraine. The study highlights the role of Chinese state subsidies in aiding Chinese companies' market share growth in various sectors within the EU. And then there is an interesting statistics how Indian economy is on a growth pattern and the marketing service industry is witnessing good demand as corporates open their purses. One is there's plenty of room to grow. So India's overall marketing spend as a percentage of revenue is 3.1 to 3.6, whereas in Europe it's 10 to 11. Please don't mind my cat. Advertisement spend is also 1 to 1.2 compared to 5 to 6. Uh, the integrated market communication is growing at 2x, customer data analytics and market tech is growing also at 2x, and full service research, market research, and customer experience measure 1.5x. This is measured between FY 23 to 28, and these gives the various spends on various sectors. Indian government has been a big ad spenders, and they show that during election year compared to election year and non-election year. So in non-election year, the number is pretty large, and this is in millions. So 3723 crore. Yeah. All right.